Hey guys, welcome back. It's your brother in Christ, Weston. Thanks for joining me today. So today's article comes out of End Times headlines. Let's get into it. Okay, physicists discover X particle from the dawn of time inside Large Hadron Collider, or CERN. So the first time I ever heard of CERN, I think was in 2017, 2018. I was doing a little bit of research, and it was coming across people that were talking about opening up demonic portals, searching for God particles. There was this giant thing in Switzerland or wherever this is at. In Germany, where they built, it was like miles and miles and miles, and they were crashing I think electrons or protons or electrons or neutrons, one of them, particles, atoms into each other, and trying to open up. They would open up many black holes for a second, and I was like, man, if those things caught wind, right? If those things caught a little bit more, if they could eat, if a black hole can eat, right? It's like, if it can eat more and more and more and more and more, so then it can get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. What is it? I remember saying stuff about D-Wave, like this demonic looking like black box quantum computing thing that was like, I think it's associated with CERN or something like that, or some guy who worked with CERN and is talking about opening up demonic portals, all this stuff. So when I just saw this article, it made me immediately think about all the time that I was spending looking at CERN and like, why would anybody want to even do stuff like this? This is like where you get like Stargate, where the show Stargate comes into play, where like there's those big old portals and things are walking through and things are coming out. Like, this is real. Like, okay, the people are doing this, and you discovered an X particle from the dawn of time. How does that even happen? What? So let's read. It says here, physicists at the world's largest atom smasher have detected mysterious primordial particle from the dawn of time. About 100 of the short-lived X particles, so named because they're unknown structures. That's interesting. Let's go, figure out things from unknown structures from the dawn of time, were spotted for the first time amid trillions of other particles in the Large Hadron Collider, or the LHC. The world's largest particle accelerator, located in Geneva at CERN and the European Organization of Nuclear Research. These X particles, which likely existed in the tiniest fractions of a second after the Big Bang, were detected inside a roiling broth of elementary particles called quark gluon plasma. I remember one time spending time looking at like all the things they were talking about, quarks, string theory, stuff like. I was so fascinated, and like the stuff that they were talking about. Like there's like I think I talked about this before. It's some kind of particle that's like it's almost like a goo or a jello, and if it touches, it just continues to go and develop, and it would just cover the whole thing. So it was talking about like the Earth. If it got hit with just the tiniest drop, it would just grow, and then you would see this from space. You would see this whole Earth just turn into like this goo. It would just become a glob of something. It was like, what? It's like it's nutty. Let's see. It says smashing together lead ions, but studying the primordial X particles in more detail, scientists hope to build the most accurate picture yet of the origins of the universe, of course, because they can still never. I mean, as far as you go back to like that, right? You probably come to a point where you're gonna have to say, okay, God is real. I think like the more you continue to try to push the issue, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing, because if you're in search of trying to prove that God is real, you're gonna prove that God is not real. You're gonna find that He is. It's gonna go against what you believe, and so you're either gonna come to grips with that and believe, or you are gonna try to shut that down and do everything you can to remove that from your thinking as a physicist, scientist, or whatever. And that's the stereotype, right? Is that the scientists or people of that nature, scientific worship, whatever you want to call it, they don't want to take faith. When faith is all involved in that, as you're doing your hypothesis, everything from A to Z. To come out with your outcome. And so people who continue to push the envelope, trying to search for the origins of the universe, get past the Big Bang, like, what's past the Big Bang? God. Like, that's what you're going to find. Like, there's nothing past the Big Bang outside of God, right? It's like, that's the only logical conclusion. There's a God. It's God. There's a God. Who is this God? That should be your next question, right? So praying that whoever's continuing to push the envelope on this will either come to grips that they've been wrong, or that they're pushing it to make more sense of the gospel, make more sense of that the Bible's true, because it is. According to Vice, X particles were initially detected in 2003 in an experiment, but they decayed too quickly to be analyzed in detail. The new discovery marks the first time that they have been captured inside quark gluon plasma, enabling scientists to hone in some of the properties they have so far evaded characterization. The discovery of X particles in quark gluon plasma is difficult and new, said Yin-Ji Lee, who is a class of 1958 career development associate professor from physics of MIT, lead author of the new study, in an email. First of all, quark gluon plasma produces tens of thousands of particles, he noted, which is an order of magnitude more than 2003 experiment recorded by Bell Detector in Japan's KEKB facility, which produced decay signatures from a few X particles. In addition, the experiment done at CMS was relativistic, if I'm saying that right, relativistic. Heavy ion collisions is much more similar to how nature produces X particles in the early universe. Oh, okay. Lee continued, for this reason, the CMS technique has opened up a new way to probe the structure and behavior of these particles in unprecedented detail, which will help shed light on the murky beginnings of the cosmos. See, so no, it's not murky. It's just that this guy doesn't want to believe that that there is a God, an intelligence that started it. It's I don't know why it's hard for people to wrap their head around that. It's such a great title that what is it? Frank Turek came up with, right? And the guy who co-authored his book as well. It takes more faith. Not enough faith to be an atheist. That's what it is. Not enough faith to be an atheist. Right. I don't, and it's such a great title because I don't have it. It doesn't make sense. If Christianity is wrong, right, doesn't mean God is not wrong. It means Christianity is wrong. Jesus is not real. Bible's false, right? Doesn't mean God doesn't exist. It just means that Jesus is not who he says he was and everything around that. And you can even take that to the point of saying the next step would be that how is the Old Testament true? And it could be that you would say that the Old Testament is true and the New Testament's not, and that the new, what we believe as Christians, even though we believe that the Old Testament points to the New Testament, and the New Testament points right back to the Old Testament, I would encapsulate almost the whole thing, and I would say, okay, hey, if the New Testament's not true, then how can the Old Testament be true, pointing to the New Testament? They're married to each other, so it would be really hard for me to try to believe in the God of the Bible as much as I would say that there's a God. I just don't know who it is, right? I don't know. I would seek out another religion at that point, or that the Old Testament would have to be so airtight that it wasn't dependent upon all these prophecies pointing to the New Testament, or that the New Testament was completely manufactured and and all the things that it was pointing to from the Old Testament is just not, it's not this testament, it's one that we don't know of, right? It's a rock solid case across Christianity for 2,000 years now. These same arguments have come up, these same things have happened, where people try to discredit Christianity, people try to come against the Word of God, or they're digging, they're asking hard questions. That's not an issue. You should be asking hard questions, faith-based questions. You're not going to always understand everything in the Bible. I don't believe you're supposed to. The Lord doesn't reveal everything because I just don't believe we can comprehend it. I don't think we have like the mental capacity to do it. And so for that, it takes faith. It takes from a place of faith. And that is the issue with anybody who's digging for something like that, because they want more evidence. They want to make sure that, like, how can you believe in such supernatural things about the beginning of a cosmos, the beginning of the beginning, right? And the very first line of Genesis spells that out for us when it shows us that time, space, and matter all happen. But if time, space, and matter all happen at a point, then there's something before that point that made it happen that has to be outside of time, space, and matter. It has to be something outside of that, because logically it makes sense, not because we have to do everything logically, but there are some things that logically line up that point to faith, that say, I've never seen God, but I can tell you out of everything that I'm seeing, and I'm going backwards in time, there's a logical point that says, there's a case logically that points to a faith-based answer that God is real, even though I've never seen him. You don't think, I have a keyboard sitting right here, and then I can go like this. I can go, and you could say, well, we don't know what it is 10,000 years from now, right? But And I could have told you there's a keyboard, and somebody was like, he could have not been, but let's say 95% of people who are going to watch this 10,000 years from now, or whatever, though that won't happen because we'll be in eternity way, way, way before then. But making the case that I have a keyboard sitting right here, right? And so even though you heard the sounds, you didn't see it. That's the faith-based answer. I hear the sounds. I hear the echoes of creation all around me. I hear the echoes of humanity. I hear the echoes of ancient times, ancient marks that are literally Red Sea, that are continents, that are historical. But then we have papers, we have documents, we have documentation, we have all this stuff, these historical records, and the Bible has 10,000. It has at least 10,000 recorded records of documentation that we have historically. That's way more than any other thing in antiquity, and yet. You read this comment here, people are trying to find the X particle for the dawn of time, trying to make sense of that. And in my heart, I read this and I'm like, well, this sounds, like I already think there's something really, really very wrong with CERN. I think that it could be used for an end times where a portal could be open for demons to come through, because they've been trying to open. I mean, you're going back to the dawn of time. So just think that if humans could, and I don't know, we probably can, absolutely. I've never seen it, but it's a faith-based answer, and I can see it in scripture that, there's demons running around. What is it? That you could open up a portal, black magic, satanic, I don't know. You're talking to a fallen angel, you're talking to a demon, you're a Satanist, I don't know, opening up a portal to something, literally, like think of like a Stargate, I'll put a picture up here somewhere where things are walking through, that you could do that. So if you're searching for like the dawn of time kind of things and you're smashing particles and you just don't think something's going to come through there, go watch some of these CERN videos. That it's like they're telling you, yeah, we're releasing demons and we've met them and they're in our videos. And here's just some subliminal messages that we're telling you without telling you. And so I say that because I see this here and I just see another mishap of somebody playing with fire. And it's like, hey, look, man, you don't know what you're doing here. And smashing particles and things like that, something's going to come through. And it's where the physical meets the spiritual, and they come through, and you just don't know what's going to happen. But Bible tells us that when man and terrestrial man and celestial angel come together, or they have this meeting that's not with the Lord involved at all, and he didn't send them, whatever, usually 100% of the time something bad happens, okay? And so when this happened before, the Lord wiped out all of creation that was on the earth and only saved, wiped out most of creation that was on the earth and saved only a few of every little bit that he made. So anyways, guys, that's the video. I wanted to see what you guys thought. I'm reading this and I'm just like, yeah, this is typical. Like I expected to see this. I just don't like the way he says, like, help shed light on the murky beginnings, as if it's like muddied, like, we got this. I just wonder what he's thinking, what they're thinking in their minds about something like this from the beginning of the cosmos. And it's like, because there's a God, man. And I think science, for some reason, people will think science doesn't have credibility if God exists, when it's literally the Lord created science so you could figure out, so you could find him, so you could seek him. And so that should be our mission, to find even more about the Lord through the things he's done through the tool of science, but not to worship science and somehow say, well, there's some kind of science God and science will always come to fruition because given enough time, it'll happen. When it's like, no, it won't. It won't. So anyways, guys, that's the video. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one.